how can we leverage large language models and AI to personalize legislative information while at the same time ensuring accuracy and trust? We've had lots of conversations in this subcommittee about the utilization of AI, and the phrase that jumps out at me is garbage in, garbage out. When you're looking at these large language models, if you are feeding it full of maybe not necessarily misinformation, but not completely accurate information, then what you're getting out of it is not going to be accurate. So, I always think about the fact that we live in a day and age where it is, we have more access to information, particularly legislative information, than we've ever had in any time in this country's history. But people are more distrusting of what we're seeing. And so how do we use these large language models and use AI, but also build accuracy and trust in the information that's being presented?
I love this question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think that one of the first things I learned when I was working with Leg Counsel was the definition of accuracy means two different things to everybody. Accuracy in the exact word I wanted, and accuracy in the outcome and intent that it has, right? So already accuracy is a challenge to define, actually, when you say something's not accurate. The other thing is that there's a Stanford study talking about leading commercial legal AI, the really top tier ones. It still has hallucinated 17 to 33% of queries, even when it was given the data, the clean data. So I know that it's easy to say it's garbage in and garbage out, but it's not really. The nature of generation creates discrepancy. And so I don't know if there's ever going to be a 100% accuracy, which is not possible. I don't think that we'll ever reach that. However, I think that with human-centered design, you can design around the critical points of human judgment and enforce those guardrails very easily. So I can give you the example. When we were doing comparative print, not all of the changes could be routed to a current law or a statute, right? And so we did these user notifications where they had to manually go and check. These are the 5 things that did not compute. What are these things? Please resolve, right? And just like that, if you're establishing something and saying, well, these things you can't move on. You cannot move on this journey until you have confirmed A, B, C, D, and we can absolutely, in user experience, establish those boundaries. So, yeah, points of human judgment. What is the thing that they are going to be held accountable? So, any decisions, any facts, right? That is the big difference between large language model and a human is the accountability, right? So one example of a point of judgment is what are the things that you are going to be accountable for? Is it this fact? Is it this line? And then putting that onus back onto the user is important.
Do you think that we are in a day and age where you can sort of utilize an LMM to be able to give you some sort of context about, let's say, a bill, and then you're still going to have a review of that? How long do you think it's going to be before we actually don't have that any longer? Or do you think that's ever going to be the case?
Well, it depends on the engine you're using. So sometimes are we allowed to say names of actual software?
Sure.
Okay. So some of the fully generative things like ChatGPT will just kind of aggregate and spit something out. But some of the other things I love, like Perplexity, has a citation and a tags on every single thing, so you can go check that citation, right? So I think that that's a standard that they set. So I mean, it's all new for everybody. But if that is the standard that the House says, right, every line has to have a source or something that it traces back to, there's no reason technically we can't do that.
So it's sort of like writing your high school English paper.
Yeah, but
you have to cite everything.
Citations. Yeah.
Fantastic.